Okay, so I'm totally cheating. It is Thursday night. It's not Friday, it's Thursday night. And I am starting the Landmark Tapestries and Charts Savon cross-stitch chart from the Tapesta, I don't know, take your pick. The Pillows collection. And this is the twin to Arjesh. And this is the one that I told you about on Monday that I said I was going to start on Friday with my Stitch With Me video. I couldn't wait. So it's Thursday night and I've just put my first stitch in. And then I thought, you know, that's kind of boring if you guys only just watch me stitch a whole long line of black. So I thought I would get it started, and then maybe by the time I record tomorrow the proper Stitch With Me video, then, you know, maybe I'll be doing a second line of DMC 310. We'll see. So it's really late Thursday night, and the rest of the family is sound asleep. So I have got, believe it or not, a cup of coffee, and I'm going to stay up late and stitch because it's the first chance I've had all day. And, well, it just makes me feel better. So I'll see you tomorrow with some more 310. Oh, I'm so glad it's Friday. Finally Friday. I have been looking forward to this all week. If you're joining with me today, it's Stitch With Me video number 2, Off the Grid Needlearts. And I'm so happy to be sitting in my chair. I've put in a photograph at the beginning of the episode today so you can see where my stitchy place is. This is in my bedroom. I have a place set up in my bedroom because this is where we like to watch television at night. This is where we have our nicer television, and the kids hang out in here with us. My kids are bigger now, so not everybody fits in the bed. So I decided that I would make a little place for myself in the bedroom so that I could have all of my things around me and stitch away happily and not, you know, sort of be in the way, that the whole family could still fit in the bedroom. And it's working out quite nicely. I spend quite a bit of time in this chair. So today I am going to be working on the Landmark Savon that I did a brief little clip to show you that I couldn't wait until today to start it. I did start it last night, but as you can see by the amount of stitching that is actually on my fabric, I wasn't able to stay up late last night. It didn't matter that I'd had coffee. I was exhausted. So I thought, well, I'm sure you guys would understand. You know, it's just DMC 310. You're going to see a whole pile of it today. But I hope you'll understand. And, you know, maybe this will be a little bit more boring for you. And you'll be able to get a few more stitches in on your own project while I chatter away and fill in some 310 here. I have one other color for a special surprise that I will put in a little bit of DMC 799 just above here. I'll put a few stitches of that in so that you can see a secondary color other than just black. Maybe I'll do that in a little bit. I wanted to get a little bit more of the black fill-in done first. So again, coffee today. And I think this is in the same mug that Letitia has. She noticed in a video that I did last week. I'm not going to tip it upside down because obviously that would be disastrous. And many of you, I'm sure, are aghast at the fact that I have it near my stitching at all. But, well, I guess I like to live dangerously. So I figure it's just fabric. It'll wash. And if it doesn't, well, then I meant to do it. And I'll just coffee dye it. And no one will be the wiser. People do it on purpose now, right? So no big deal. Let's see. Yeah, so tapestry, Landmark Tapestry and Designs. Sorry, I always call it the wrong name. It's Landmark Tapestries and Charts. Now, several of you have asked where to find these charts because they are not that easy to find. They can be difficult to track down. My local needle workshop, Thread and I, they are able to order them in for me. They're in Canada, and they do have an online presence. So if you do have trouble finding them, or you are a Canadian, a fellow Canadian, hello, then, you know, check them out if you're interested in these designs. I know Letitia, Crafty Curator, I know that she bought the set of the pillows collection, this collection. I know she bought the set, and she is in the States. So maybe she'll pop onto the comments below and let us know where she was able to find them. So yeah, anyways, I thought I'd show you a little bit of how I go about this because I cheat. I do not do this the proper way. And I know needlework purists would be horrified at my method. But you know what? These are for me and, you know, my children down the road. They're framed. No one's going to be standing with their noses pressed against the glass in the, you know, foreseeable future. And if they are, I'll be long dead and gone and I don't care. So I take off enough floss so that I can work with it doubled. So quite a good length, and quite a good length. And then I will just take one of the strands. Oops, sorry. Take one of the strands. That's my beagle ticking around in the background there. Daria, the retriever, is already asleep just beside my feet to the right. Let's see if I'll jiggle the camera a little bit, maybe you can see a peek of her under there. Let's see, where is she? Oh. She's hiding. You can see her feet. There we go. So she is never very far away from me. Incredible dog. She's really a true companion dog. I adore her. I adore Eddie as well. Both my dogs. They're like kids. So anyways, getting back to the business at hand here. One long strand. Lick my thread. I heard from quite a few of you that you are thread lickers as well. Now, my eyes are getting old. It helps if I look over the top of my glasses to thread my needle now. And so, because I've got the long length, I simply fold it over double. That way, I've got no extra floss at the top, and I can stitch right up to the end there. So it means that I have to thread my needle less. And when you're doing so much of the same color, it's helpful. Now, I was surprised last time when I was doing the canvas work and I showed people how I started the back, and I said I do the Bargello tuck. A lot of people didn't know what that was, and I was not surprised, because you should know what it is, but surprised that I just assumed that this was how most people started their threads at the back. So, you know, I sew it through about 3 or 4 strands at the back, and then I take the last stitch that the thread is coming out from, and then I just do a little extra stitch just to secure it to the back, making sure that there's no extra thread and the end is neatly covered and tucked away at the back there. So I can tell I'm going to have to keep moving the camera here. Otherwise, you won't be able to see anything of my really exciting black 310. So this is my hearthside floor frame that I think I've had this now for, oh goodness, 10 years. I think I've had it for about 10 years. And they're a company, a small family business. I believe they're out in Calgary, Alberta, a Canadian company. And I love this frame. This is sort of, I just think this is one of the most deluxe stitching accessories that I own. And so I'm going to say it was maybe not quite 10 years ago, around about 10 years ago, my in-laws and my parents and John all went together for Christmas one year, and they all went in together to help purchase this as my Christmas gift. And I love it. Because I'm a two-handed stitcher, it allows me to sit where I choose, and then I can just roll the frame. It fits easily on either side of the chair legs, and you can just roll it right up to yourself and zippity away as quick as you can. Now, of course, that I've said that. Oh, sometimes. There we go. So this is 18 count Aida. I am using, as you saw, I'm using 2 strands. Now the reason why you're not supposed to sort of double up the thread that way, with one of the strands going one way and the other strand going the opposite direction, is because the fibers of the thread then are not laying properly. They're laying against each other. One of them is going in opposite direction, and so technically your one thread is being, the fibers are being pulled as the wrong way as you go through the fabric. There is a way to check. There's actually a direction that you are supposed to stitch your thread, and there's a way to check that, which Kathy at the needle workshop, there's 2 very important Kathys in my life. My local thread and I, Kathy, who is a very good friend, and then my sister-in-law, Kathy, who is also incredibly important to me. And of course, they're both spelled exactly the same, Kathy, and I talk about them all the time, especially when I'm talking about stitching. And so I think that I need to give them each a little nickname. So instead of just saying Kathy this and Kathy that, it should be Kathy LNS and Kathy SIL, Kathy sister-in-law and Kathy LNS. Maybe that'll help. Anyways, I do remember at a retreat one time, Kathy LNS was discussing the proper way that the thread should be stitched. But, well, I'll tell you, this is really fast for me. It's a fast way to get my floss loaded onto my needle. It's a fast way for me to just, sit down and really quickly put a floss length of stitches onto a project and not be too fussy about things, not be too overly concerned about always doing things the right way. Now, having said that, I was followed on Instagram a few days ago by someone, and her name is escaping me at the moment. I'm going to have to go in. I'm going to look it up, and I will talk more about her on Monday's episode, because I am surely going to want to talk about this more. So I don't often catch when people follow me on Instagram. I don't always see it. I don't always cotton on, because things happen pretty quickly and then it gets removed from my feed, or I don't get a notification. I don't see it. But it happened that I was looking at my phone when the notification came through, and so I popped over to her feed, and do you want to know what I saw? I saw a photograph looking out of a window, looking over the gardens at Hampton Court. And I knew immediately where she was. I knew immediately that she was sitting in a needlework class at the Royal Needlework School in Hampton Court. And oh my goodness, I was hit with the most intense feeling of longing. I have to say, longing. One day one day, and I've talked to John about this, it's probably the only thing, it's really the only really big thing on my life bucket list that one day I would like to go and I would like to spend as long as I can, as long as they will allow me until the money runs out. I can't imagine something that would make me happier. It would just be completely thrilling to me to go to Hampton Court, to see the history, the amazing, rich, beautiful history of this amazing place where Henry VIII was with Anne Boleyn, and the tapestries that are there that are being worked on by the people who are employed by the Royal Needlework School. Just to immerse myself in the culture and the history there would be amazing. So that's what I think of when I do these silly things where I load my needle the lazy way, and I work on these things where I don't really care that they're not done properly, and I think to myself, oh, those teachers at the Royal Needlework School would have a field day with me. They would not be impressed. But anyways, maybe one day I'll go and I will learn exactly why I should be doing things the proper way. So normally last week I edited in some music over top of the video, and I was a little bit rushed. And when you upload music to your videos, you have to be careful that it is copyright free, that it is permissible to be used on your videos. And copyright is something that I am pretty big on. As a musician, I think it's important. I think it's important to respect an artist's work and so on and so forth. People should be paid for their time and their effort. But there are websites where you can find loads and loads of pod-safe music that you can use for your podcasts. And so I did that. That is how I choose my music, how I find my music. And I have fairly eclectic taste in music, but I wouldn't say it's eclectic. I like everything. And if something catches my ear and I like it, then I want to share it with you. So the music that I put on last week, I really enjoyed. But I only, sort of had enough time to find the one piece. And so what I did was I lowered the volume on it and I just put it on a loop so that it played for the whole video. I thought I had made it quiet enough that, it would sort of be really unobtrusive. But I think that actually maybe it was a little much by the end, and maybe people who didn't like that particular style of music, maybe that would have bothered them. And that's fine. Everybody has different taste and everybody likes different things, and we all have different opinions, and that is totally fine. But anyways, I guess that was a really roundabout long way for me to say that I am really short on time today, and I have zero time to go on and find new music for you today. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload this video with no music today, and I hope you don't mind. I hope you don't mind just listening to my chatter today. And if you listen really carefully, you might even hear my dogs snoring in the background. Let's see, I'll be quiet for a minute. Maybe you can hear. Of course, they choose this minute to be quiet. Oh, there's a little bit of breathing there. Anyway. All right, so I am on length number 2 of DMC 310. How exciting is that? Now, you've stuck with me through one length of thread. Are you brave enough to stick with me through 2? I have a little treat for you to make it worth your while. Last week was it last week? Oh my goodness, time is going so fast. it wasn't last week, it was yesterday. Yesterday on Instagram, I posted a photograph of some English paper piecing that I have been working on for many years. This is, or I'm going to say I probably started it in 2012. And English paper piecing is hand sewing. It's hand quilting. You piece together the quilt top by hand using paper templates that are, you know, you can do it however. Cut them out by hand. You can buy prepared ones yourself. You can buy prepared ones. There's even a website that sells them already pre-made and packaged, and you just order them and they arrive at your door. And then you cover the templates with fabric, and then you sew those pieces together. And so when I posted that photograph, and I should tell you, there are a few Instagram friends who also English paper piece, at Sharon Go Forth, who is just a lovely Instagrammer. She is a bibliophile, so she always has, amazing books that she's reading, and her crafting is, I love the projects she chooses. I love the, she's always interested. She's like me. If there's a new craft that catches your eye and catches your interest or your fancy, then she just wants to learn everything about it that she can. When I talked about the Kogan last time, she went to the library the next day and took out books on Japanese blackwork, which was we were talking about Elizabeth Almond and the blackwork designs that she makes, that she designs and stitches. And so Sharon is really, she's my kind of girl, as are, frankly, all of you, female or male. You are my kind of people. If you are watching this video, seriously, if you are watching this video of me stitching black 310 X's, honestly, you're my kind of person. So Sharon she also enjoys English paper piecing, and she's been working on some projects on her lunch hour at work, and I thought, well, that's a really good idea. It's a good way to sneak in, just 5-10 minutes of hand sewing here and there. And really, that's all it takes, because you can just do a teeny little bit and then immediately put it away. It's not, you can have a very small little amount in a pouch and carry it around with you. And whenever you have a few moments, you can put in a few stitches. So as a little treat, I thought I would show you. I'm having trouble. This one does not want to catch the. That'll have to do. I thought I would show you a brief little peek of my English paper piecing that I have been working on. This is my giant project. So I'm sure none of you are surprised that it's a giant project, because Caroline Off the Grid Needlearts and giant project seem to go hand in hand. So what I've done is I have the flower, they're hexagon flowers that I start with. And so this is my hexagon flower. So as you can see, I have 7 individual hexagons. Okay, now because this is how I start them. Well, technically, I am going to be doing a tutorial video, sort of a tutorial video, another video where I talk about it a lot more in depth. But as you can see on the back, I have my paper templates still tucked inside the ones that are around the outside, and everything is, see the teeny little hand stitches there? You have, this is patience at its best. And I love it. So I make my flowers. So in order to get the flower, you pop the paper out of the center one once you get to a certain point. And then, you know, Bob's your uncle. And I don't know if you noticed, but if you did notice, when I moved my stand, can you see what's on my lap? You see that? That's my quilt top right there. It's a queen size quilt top that I'm making, and I am probably, I'm going to say 3/4 finished it. And it's going to be a generous queen size quilt. And so I'll show you, if I come over here, see, it goes and goes and goes. Around the outside edge are all my papers still in here, but on the inside, all the papers have been taken out. So this is all nice and soft. And the papers are still just only in around just the very outside edge. So again, I've been working on this since 2012. It is a favorite summer project of mine. I love to work on this up at the cottage. And, you know, I am in no rush. This to me is a meditative craft. This is not something that I am in it for, you know, the quick sort of gratification of a project. It is something that the colors make me happy. And so stitching together one small seam, you know, just one small seam on a hexagon makes me happy. And it's just, it's slow, it's meditative, and I love it. So I will talk a little bit more about English paper piecing on Monday. And then, you know, I'm hoping to put out an extra little video. There's a lady in town here, Sheila, and she has taught a few classes at our local Knit Stitch on English paper piecing. And I know that she does her templates a little differently. And so I thought maybe she might be interested. If I can convince her, maybe she would come and chat with you as well. So, but that won't take place, you know, instead of one of the other two. I'm still really enjoying doing this Stitch With Me video. I know it's only my second one, but as you can tell, I haven't run out of things to say yet. And I haven't had to look up, you know, things to ask myself so that I have something to talk about. I don't seem to have any problem talking to myself, talking to you, without, you know, frankly, sometimes stopping for a breath. But anyway, it is what it is. So that's my English paper piecing. So I hope that made all of this 310 worth your while to hang out with me today. So there was some excitement last week with the last Stitch With Me video that I put up. I received a notification a couple of days ago from Lee at Afton Farms, who I owe a debt of gratitude for pointing out that my video had been uploaded by someone else. For some strange reason, someone else had taken my video and they had removed the location map that I had posted at the beginning. I just think that's a nice way to start for you to sort of see where I am in the world. And I know it's kind of hard to tell, but I am in London, Ontario, Canada. That's where I am talking to you from. So whoever had taken the video had removed that first little bit, and then they had reposted my video on their channel with you know, they had even used my words under the video, but I think they had sort of translated them a little bit incorrectly. But anyways, they had also taken a video from Priscilla and Chelsea and a video from Stitcherista, and there were a few other Flosstube videos up there as well. And I am going to assume that they were not this person's videos as well, since they did appear to be different people. Anyways, so that was a little disconcerting that had happened, but you know, it was really easy to report to YouTube that there was sort of a copyright issue going on, and I have to give full credit. I think Priscilla and Chelsea may have had a little bit more trouble. It may have taken them a little bit longer to resolve their video issue, but with mine, when I filed the copyright infringement report, they had the other video taken down within, I'm going to say it was within half an hour of me sending in my submission that this had happened. They were really actually quite good about it. So anyways, you know, these days, social media, it's kind of crazy what people can do. But anyway, no harm, no foul. Video's down, and here I am back again stitching with you. So, and in fact, it was kind of funny because a lady had left a comment on the reposted video, how she had enjoyed the counted canvas sort of tutorial. And so I left her a comment and I said, oh, well, you know, that's great. Thank you. Why don't you come on over to my channel and check out what I've got over there. So I got a new follower from it. So I guess all's well that ends well. And if you're that lady that came over here from there, well, thank you for doing that. So I am almost done. Length number 2, 310. And I like to use it right down to the end because the less reloading the needle, the more stitching we get to do. So in the end, so in the comments last week, some people left me comments where they were from and where they were joining me from and what they were stitching. And I have to tell you, I loved that. I thought that was really, really fun because it really was like you were stitching with me. You know, it's like I can sit here right now and imagine your name and your project and what you're working on. And, you know, I think this is a pretty great community. So the other people who are leaving comments, read through, see what everybody else is working on and what other people are stitching on, because not everybody is on Instagram or Facebook. And lots of people, you know, don't have groups of stitching friends where they live or, you know, or they know. And, you know, lots of crafters use the internet to maybe not quite be so lonely at home. And, well, leave where you're from in the comments and leave what you're working on. And if you are leaving a comment, read through a few of the other comments and maybe make comments on those comments so that people know that you're reading and that you recognize where they're from. And we can all appreciate each other, because that's kind of fun. All right, are you ready? Don't be shocked, but I'm ready to put in some 799. I know. You're excited, aren't you? I'm excited. So, it was Halloween this week. Did everybody have a fun Halloween? Nicholas had a blast. He went out with his friend, Evan, and they got a load of candy. I mean, those boys were so wired by the time they got home. I got the lucky job. I was the fortunate one this year. I got to stay home and hand out candy. So that was where it was at this year. And John got to take the boys out. My daughter is a little too old to trick or treat now, but she had other plans that night with her friends. So that was good. What else? The next day, what was Tuesday? Oh yeah, Tuesday, Halloween was on a Tuesday. Whenever nights like that fall on my teaching nights, I always have to sort of move my students around so that, you know, the kids don't miss out on their fun activities and I don't miss out on teaching income. So a few of my kids I moved to Monday evening instead. And so that was how I was able to hand out candy on the Tuesday and not worry about not teaching. So on Wednesday, when Nicholas was at school and his bag of candy was left on the counter, I had a moment where I kind of felt like, did you guys see, do you remember the scene in Home Alone where Kevin is in his brother's bedroom and he knows he's being naughty and he's looking through all of his brother's stuff and he says out into the emptiness, hey, I'm looking at all your stuff, come and stop me, knowing full well that he's not there and he's not going to stop them. As I'm gazing into this absolute bucket of candy and I'm seeing all of the little fun-sized Mars bars in the bottom of the bag, I felt like saying, Nicholas, I'm in your candy bag. You can't stop me. And I thought, oh, I can't steal his candy, can I? So I didn't. I did take one out of the pail of stuff that didn't get handed out at the door. So I made do with that. He's a pretty generous kid, though. I think he'd share with me, but I should probably ask. Anyway, we didn't have as many kids this year for Halloween as we have in the past. We normally don't have very many at all anyways, because we live in a cul-de-sac and a lot of kids just totally skip by because I think it's too much work to go down where we are, and it's not always incredibly well lit, so I can't blame them. I will often have students come. The smaller ones will often come trick-or-treating, and that's always really cute because I know what their costumes are going to be because, of course, they can't stop talking about their costumes at their lessons, what they're going to be dressed up as. So we always have a big discussion, and then when they come to the door, I can make a comment on their cute costume. So I have to give a little shout out to a couple of local friends who are knitters. And both of these ladies have knitting podcasts of their own. Alyssa is my first friend that I'm going to say hello to. She has a knitting podcast called Knit One, Breathe Two. And she has a really lovely, gentle, calming voice. And, she has these beautiful knitting projects that she talks about. And I always enjoy her podcast. Well, last September, when? June? Maybe it was June. We had a giveaway on the Fiber Friends podcast. And actually, was it our very first podcast? Maybe it was. I don't remember. Anyway, the giveaway was a cross-stitch pattern, a bag, and a Kelmscott needle minder. And if you guys have never seen Paula's needle minders and scissors, well, let me tell you, you should check them out because they are exquisite. She makes beautiful needle minders, and her scissors are just lovely, lovely, lovely. And she's also a pretty terrific Canadian. She's a fellow Canadian. So anyways, I had included one of Paula's needle minders in with this giveaway, and I said the caveat was if it was a knitter that won the prize who didn't know how to cross stitch, then I would also include some fabric and some thread and, hopefully get them started on their way. So it was really funny to me when a local knitter won the prize, and she did not know how to cross stitch. And so one day, I'm going to say it was almost a month ago now, a month ago, Alyssa and I met at Thread and I taught her how to stitch. Not only did I teach her how to stitch, but I made her learn on 28 count linen. I know it was a bit mean of me. It was a bit naughty, but you know, I thought she should pick the fabric that she really liked, and I would teach her on whatever she liked. And if she could learn immediately on linen, she was a pretty clever lady. So I figured she wouldn't, you know, and also she's been a crafter for years. So sometimes your eye gets used to how to seeing certain things, I think anyways. And so she learned how to stitch, and she did a fantastic job. The other knitter with a podcast, a joint podcast with her friend Lisa. So Lisa and Dawn are the codependent knitters, and they're from Sarnia, Ontario. And Dawn has started watching my Flosstube videos, and she said, "Oh, I used to stitch a long time ago, and watching your videos is making me want to stitch again." So last week or the week before, anyways, it doesn't matter. She went to Thread and we were supposed to meet, but Nicholas got sick. So she ended up going to Thread and in fact met Alyssa there because they've gotten to know each other as well. And she bought a project. It's the Eiffel Tower. And that's what she's been working on lately. So she messaged me last night on Instagram, and she said, "Are you putting out a Stitch With Me video? Because that's when I like to stitch." And so Dawn, I am here to say I am more than happy to oblige, because this has been rather lovely. So anyways, I'm just going to finish up this blue thread. And then I think I'm going to say goodbye, because it's almost the end of the afternoon where I have to start thinking about going to get Nicholas. It is Friday, so he's having a friend over after school. And then I have one more lesson to teach tonight for an hour from 5:30 to 6:30. And then as soon as I'm done teaching that lesson, I am going to upload this video. I'm going to do bare minimum editing. I'm not even going to rewatch it. So be forewarned. I'm only going to sort of splice together a bit of the video that I took that I wanted to put in here. I'll put in a little bit at the beginning to show you where I am. And then I'm just going to upload it right to YouTube. So it's just chit chat today. No music, not a lot of editing. And I really, really hope that you got lots of stitches put in and that we kept each other company. That's it for me today. Happy Friday. Happy weekend. Those in retail or those nurses, doctors who have to work the weekend, I hope that you guys also find some time to relax, find an hour or two to yourself, and enjoy your weekend, everybody. I'll see you on Monday. Happy stitching.